Hello everyone and welcome to the final part to the campaign guide. Here, this is video 4.4 in this three videos. If you're wondering what the other ones were, we did 57 to 63 in the first part, 64 to 70 in the second part, 71 to 77 in the third part, and then now we are on the fourth part and we're here on Roman Reigns. So, of course, if you are new or a returning person for the campaign guides, a few changes have happened. First of all, there's a brand new layout. So, basically, you can now see the spreadsheet consistently throughout the whole of the video, and you can see the stats that I'm looking at. As you can see, this is stage 78, and it will say the gender, the match type, the stat, and the value to beat. Of course, there's no champ boosting effect. And I will say there are chances, there will definitely be pay-to-win elements used in this video. However, I will be trying my best to do recommendations or alternatives for the free-to-plays, of course, if you are struggling. Now, I highly recommend before watching this part, you get certain cards. First of all, Bailey Super Showdown, B, Boom EO. Okay, that's some of the recommendations that I will have that you can currently get. But then, of course, if you do get certain cards like the Miz, Joe Hendry, that is coming out as of recording, of course, but it's limited time. Triple H will help a lot. And we will be using cards such as Santa, Austin Theory as well, which you cannot get, but I will do my best to do alternatives, of course, if you do have the cards or not. Also, another rule, I'm not using anyone that is limited edition that you will not have access to, aka Batista. So Batista will not be used at all for this campaign guide because you will not have him. Basically, so we're just going to swap him out for someone else, Scott Santa. And yeah, we are going to go from there. So first of all, we've got all power matches, and as you can see, we've got a male power match there. It's 698. A female power match, it's 700,000. A male tag match, and 1.5 million with a table. So, of course, this is, you can use anybody you like as long as they are high enough stat and they can win all the matches. Right? If they can't use them. Because then, you know, you lose. I mean, you can, but you lose. So we'll be looking closely at this. Of course, we will have a super move here on the old agenda here for 78 because of that table match. Of course, the match 3, but the other 2 matches, however, we should be alright with. So first of all, going to be using Austin Theory against Razor there. Of course, a very high stat there. Now, if you wanted to, you could use a table here. However, I don't quite know the difference, so I'm not going to take the risk. Oh yeah, it was a loss anyway. Oh wait, no, it was 700.3. Trish was. And then this is your super move match. So you can use Santa, for example, with Triple H. I do apologise about the flashing. Because if you are of epilepsy. Of course, they will lose, but that is your super move match right there. Which is fairly straightforward. So, I'm just going to show equipment used. So this was Austin Theory's equipment, of course. This is just a normal knee pads. Elbow pads, sorry, not knee pads. Pads is toughness. Of course, it would be a different story if we did use Joe Hendry. And that is Trish's power equipment there. Of course, the elbow pads for adventure, because 88,000 is not in effect. Alright. Stage 79 is toughness and speed. Now this one is 3 solo matches. So we have a female match in toughness, which come at 790, so you can probably guess where the super move is. And then we do also have 2 other speed matches in which we can use basically anyone we like. For this one, I'm going to use Pagano. Just to sort of change it instead of using someone like Santa, for example. Of course, you would have seen Santa a lot in the second episode. I'm going to put EO in, toughness match, however, will be of a super move. Of course, you could also use EO for that. Equally, Lady Flammer could be an option as well. Of course, there is an equipment releasing for, but it's most likely going to be paid. So just bear that in mind. Of course, Pagano beats AJ. There at 6-2-4 to 6-1, I think it was. This would be your super move match. So it's going to be using Trish in this example. Of course, look at that. Very high stat there. Of course, always put your charisma equipment on just in case of any eventualities. Of course, and there is EO Scan at 633. Jade there, of course, 671 for EO. And that match is now done. Of course, super moving on that female toughness match. Just showing equipment again, there is Pagano's speed equipment. And here is EO's speed equipment as well. Okay, and we are swiftly moving along to stage 18. Now, this is where you need Bailey. So if you don't know what this one is, this one's actually quite the pain, ironically. So there is there's a few ways you can do this. So we are going to be looking, firstly, at a man by the name of Santa Claus. Now, we will need to get to 694,000, which is brutal, to say the least. Of course, that is EO. EO be well, she's actually not going to be fine. But we are actually going to change momentum quickly on Santa Claus. So that's all my left arrows from the previous part. Of course, if you do have Logan, he could also be used. Oh god, my equipment's not going to be enough for him. Oh Jesus. Oh god, right, okay. So if we go back to campaign. Now the main way you would be able to do this, and I'm gonna show that way instead of the sort of without Logan way, is by using Logan. He will need to proc basically. He will have get a mouth guard on Logan. You'll see this technique again being used later on, but as you can see with the sort of method that we will be using. EO will be able to win without anything. Bailey can win with a super move, and Logan just needs to simply proc. That's all he has to do. But firstly, you need to make sure that Logan is in momentum, especially for the procking issue. So if I will put Logan in. There he is. So he's at 625. Of course, you're going to give him the support as well. So you're going to see the support being used, and then he will need to proc. And what his proc will do is make sure that Eel can win her match. She'll go to about 750 plus, something like that. I think something stupid like that. If he procs, you will see it in action. He might not, though. He's only a 20% chance. So there's a chance that it might not happen. Nope. But if he procs, you can beat that Jimmy Uso. Plus the 91k onto this EO, so she'll go to 760. And she will destroy Kiana James. She actually won with a proc, ironically. It's kind of funny. With Bailey, that would be your super move there. Of course, 800k on that live. Just be careful though. 800k, 400k minimum on your cards. But again, if Logan hadn't with Logan not procking, just be wary of that. Of course, EO was fine with just about winning, of course. Equally though, without Logan, you can use Santa Claus with that support, and that is a very easy win. I just showed with Logan, try and get him to proc, just showed that method. But you can do it with Santa as long as EO procs, especially currently anyway. But Now we're going to move on to stage 81, which requires a tag match. And here it is. Here's that tag match. 1.5 million. Now, again, this one is more just a case of using a certain charisma manager, and you're going to use someone who is good in charisma for the males. So for this one, I'm going to use Santa. And I'll get my stocking just now. I'll use Triple H as well, just to avoid Logan use. Give him good, decent equipment. There we go. And then it's just Io Sky now, who needed 633 to the old charisma. However, though, that simply is done by proc. So you do not need to sort of worry. You can win with a proc equally using a static Pro Heenan should be able to work, assuming you can get the 2 static t-shirts for that first match. However, though, you don't actually need to go for that match if you do not want to. You can attempt the 641 with the table. I don't recommend it personally, but again, that is just me doing it. But yeah, these two will need to hit 1.5 million, which we might actually be able to do without any issues. It's pushing 1.5 million. It's over 1.5, but again, it's 781, which sort of makes that match a lot more difficult. So yeah, using a support in that match would do you a lot of good. Of course, Wendy there's Eos proc. Eos proc is decent. It's about 30%, 40%, I think it is. It's also at 20 OK. Now, this would be your super move match again. Of course, using that support from the first match. Assuming that worked, Eo then procs, and then we are good to go, basically. But yeah, equally having a pro static charisma manager, such as Maurice, or the Steph, if you did get it. Of course, not many did. So, of course, if you can get that, that is also ideal. Also, putting Triple H in momentum would also help. Actually, I think I can show it without needing that necessarily. So, when needing the support with Triple H in momentum, of course, make sure you check momentum slots. Who did I take out of momentum? I took Santa out of momentum. That's ironic. And then, of course, 700k on Santa there. He wasn't in momentum anyway, ironically. So again, check your momentum slots. Make sure everyone's in there that you want to use. So yeah, I'm going to just put EO on this one again. So I'm just going to sort of show it again. Because remember, with a proc, you know, it happens, it doesn't happen, but as you can see, there we go. That's definitely a lot more convincing. To say it's going to be a win. Yep, it's definitely a win. That is nice and easy there. Then with EO, we're just going to use the support so you shouldn't have to proc. As you can see, there's 2 wins. Like I said, just popped anyway. But yeah, there's numerous ways you could have done this stage. There's a lot of there's genuinely a lot. Of course, event cards include Rey Mysterio, Joe Hendry's new SC is coming out. If you can manage to get that pro'd, assuming it's nice. Of course, by the time it's out, the video is happening. It's not out yet. So, but yeah, that is how you would do that stage. Now, next is going to be a different one. It is Lady Flammer stage. So this way, we are going to use Lady Flammer for the first time. And probably the only time in this campaign. But as you can see here, Lady Flammer is going to be used. Of course, she's not actually fully done. So I do hope she'll be alright for it. I'm hoping so. She might not be. Of course, there is an alternative option if I do lose very badly. And we are going to be using our man Triple H here as well. Of course, with that 700k there. We're just going to put Lady Flammer and Trish in the old momentum slots. So just bear with me a second. We're going to take EO out for this. Of course, this is what the importance of EO. Of course, 610 there for Lady Flammer. Actually, I need to show the stats. There they are. So again, we got a 1.5 million match. It's a female tag. In power, the males is 698, hence why Triple H is fine. And the toughness match of 1.6 mil, which is 800k equivalent, basically. Very difficult stage, very difficult sort of match to get up to. However, I would say difficult, not the most difficult thing in the world. It's just one of them that I wouldn't personally challenge. If I was doing this again, I would definitely super move that match and just get it over and done with. As you can see, we are using Zelina Vega. Now we're going to use a table in this one, just in case. Of course, Lady Flammer there. Very new card into the game. Of course, was free to play, so a lot should have her. Of course, if you do, you can use her. Trish is a little bit of a difficult one. You could use trying to think of any left out half females who could be of use. I don't think they actually released any in this tip for power left arrows. But you do also have Nia Jax as a option as well. So do bear that in mind. Now the next match, well, for 84, hence why we have the super move for 84. I'm just gonna. But yeah, that match is fairly brutal. Make sure you do use a compatible tab, by the way. I know you used Theory and Santa, but they were more than good enough anyway to do it. Just go, and then, yeah, that is all good. Next is 83. Now, this one, again, has a annoying match, mainly because of female toughness, and, well, I say it's annoying, it's actually not that annoying, and then the charisma match, which is very brutal. Of course, we are going to be using a Maxine Dupree manager here, and we're going to be using Lady Flammer, but not with Trish, but with Io instead. So, if we show that, we're going to put toughness equipment on Io. Lady Flammer's going to get the drone. Of course, remember, we can use a support as well if we need it. Now, if I was actually going to try and do this, which I might try and do it actually, without super move and without Logan. So if we had Logan, it'd be considerably easier. And that actually might be enough, ironically. Because it is 1.6 mil. But yeah, remember that that initial match of the 1.5 mil will be why we don't do it, because it's not the best option in the world. So we're just going to be completely safe and just say we can super move the third. So firstly, Triple H. Of course, you can use Austin Theory as well. There we go. He's more than fine. Of course, a very easy card to get. Hopefully you got him. He's quite useful. Sure, definitely decent as a sort of like the Park sort of replacement, so to speak. Or basically a Joe Hendry replacement as well, if you think about it, for these arrows anyway, but not generally. And this will be your super move match. There we go. Of course, that is going to be a loss, but of course the super move is there for you to do. Now, last up is this bottom area, and that is 84. Now, this one, again, this is why I need Bailey. So, a few ways to do this. I'm going to show you the method with Logan, and I'm going to do my best to show the method. Well, I can't show the method without Logan. Reason being is I do not have the support for it, basically. But however, I can make recommendations for who you could use instead. So, I'm going to be putting Bailey and Trish in this. However, what we're going to do first, just so we don't have to go consistently swapping, we're just going to take everyone's equipment off. So, firstly, we are putting some people in momentum. So, I'm going to be putting in, not Santa, I'm going to put in Therian. I'm going to be putting Logan in. We're going to be putting Trish already in. And Bailey's going to be put in as well. And this is why we need Bailey. Because there's no other... the tier hasn't had any other Christmas cards that can work that well. So to speak. Okay, so this is the Logan method. Then I'll sort of talk about the previous method, the other method as well, to try and do it without Logan. Because it is doable without him. Or without any battle pass card, really. And then finally we just got to pick 2 more people for the next match, which we can use. We'll be fine with using Santa and Triple H. Triple H is on 1.2 mil. Santa will be roughly that. Yeah, there we go. So hopefully Logan procs first try, and also going to be using the stocking as well. Okay, let's get into stage 84 now. This map, no, so there is a few ways you can do this. Some more friendly than others, so I'll just say that. So hopefully Logan can proc for this match. Without the proc of Theory, it'll be fine. It's basically dependent on if Logan procs, and he did not. But we did win. But anyway, so assuming Logan procced, we would have had stage an additional 90,000 onto this. So basically, everyone would be able to get their stats, basically. To get their stats. So just bear in mind, 90k extra, 90,000 extra would have been what would have been added to that. And then this one, we are actually going to super move. And as you can see there, they did take some away because for some of it, but it is still more than fine there. Of course, 1.3 mil. We got to 1.4 mil, 1.3 mil respectively on cards. So yeah, just bear that in mind with the Trish Stratus and Bailey match with Logan procking. There is a way you can do it, basically. Of course, now without the Logan method, it's a little bit more complex. So first of all, I do not have certain cards for this. I do not have a Universe Pro. I do not have 2 static t-shirts, and I do not have a Krampus. Now, the reason I'm saying Krampus is because you can do this in a few ways. Firstly, if for the first match you can use Krampus, and you can also use someone maybe like Gunther, that can win that first match. Of course, Gunther's Saturday Night's main event. If you did get the campaign limited edition, then you know. You can do that. Alternatively, Joe Hendry could be a replacement for Gunther. Cards such as Rey Mysterio's event card for that first match as well could also do. However, not the most convincing for wins. The female match, you are using a static Pro Christmas Marger with 2 static t-shirts on both cards. These 2 will stay the same. Alternatively, the Morgan's special one would be a option as well. It's not really any other decent enough options that can basically be high enough to basically compete. And then Triple H and Santa will stay the same. So anyway, thank you very much for watching this campaign guide, and that is the end of the campaign guide for static tier. Good luck on your road to Batista. Of course, you've got until the 28th of January, which is, as we see, 14 days from now. So this has been King My Supercard. Thank you for joining me along the road of the campaign map for static, and I'll see you in the next campaign and the next video. Goodbye.